Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another night of Sci-Fi Vision Prevents Fandom Access. We're all here at the same time.
Yay!
Karen muted herself.
Yeah,
she's unmuted.
I was getting some echo, so I just muted myself. Hi, everybody. How are you?
Hello. Good.
I'm excited for this week's show. We only have 3 shows to
too.
talk about tonight, so we can give them some, some good attention. And where you want to, let's start with the arc, huh?
Yeah. I didn't know if we wanted to give everybody a couple minutes before we make our announcement. Maybe make sure everybody's who's coming comes is here. But
so why don't we talk about the episode, and then we can talk about the other thing afterwards.
Okay, well, then everybody stay tuned to after our discussion for our news. All righty. So the arc.
Okay, so yeah, this was episode, I think it's episode 5, and the title is Museum of Death. And this is the episode where they go back to Arc 3 to cannibalize it for parts, and someone is on Arc 3. They see an Eastern, what are they called? The Eastern Revolution?
Eastern Federation.
The Eastern Federation. Eastern Federation. There's a shuttle docked there, and it's possible somebody is aboard the Ark, right? So everybody puts on all their little spacesuits and heads on over to Arc 3 to see what's going on. Yeah. How'd you guys like this episode on its own and compared to the season?
I liked it. I think it was kind of creepy. I think some of it. Whoa, okay, now I'm echoing on your end, Karen. Okay, it went away, I guess. I think so. I think it was creepy. I do think that it was pretty obvious from the beginning of the only thing I'll say is from the beginning of the episode that Ava is, was somewhat connected to the Federation regardless of her brother because of the way she reacted at the beginning of the episode. I think we knew that was coming, but I don't think she's bad. Could she be? I guess we'll have to wait to find out more. But I think it's creepy the fact that I get that like he kind of went a little nuts and he posed all the dead bodies, but it's a little weird. But he obviously thought they were still alive and didn't quite grasp what was going on. But it was gross. It was cool. I liked the episode though.
Yeah, the most interesting part is how long it must have taken, how many takes it must have been for all those actors to stand still and not move at all.
Yeah.
Because somebody moved or breathed.
That's a good point.
You know what I love about sci-fi shows, though? Let's send 90% of the bridge crew on an away mission that could be very dangerous.
Yeah.
All the time.
It's kind of like sending the engineer to their death on another show.
Yeah. Every sci-fi show does this. And Lane would have been there too if not for his daddy issues.
Yeah. So not quite all of them. Most of them went.
That's what I said. About 80%. Yeah. And I wish they would either move forward with the Kimmy story or drop it, because I'm tired of Kimmy's brooding look every time she does anything. Like, she always looks pissed off. And if she's trying to make people like her, she's not going about it the right way. She constantly looks pissed off. And everything she says, even if it's something not negative, she just looks pissy.
Yeah. Do you think that the whole thing with Ava, that perhaps that was what she was investigating? She just maybe had the wrong person?
I don't know. I mean, at this point, Ava wasn't a lieutenant when I don't even know what her rank is. If she's got a rank now, but she said the lieutenant.
Yeah, that's why I said maybe she had the wrong person. I don't know.
Yeah. It's one of our 3 that were originally lieutenants.
I mean, I hardly think that Dr. Maddox sent Kimmy over to Arc 1 to investigate Ava. I don't think, obviously, Ava got through whatever she has in her, whatever criminal past she has, she got through the entire Arc 1 process to get on the ship. It's obviously pretty well hidden. And it's all like kind of in the past that Earth was wiped out and there really is no Eastern Federation or anything anymore. And I don't really think that Kimmy was sent over to. I think Kimmy is a sneaking sneak. And she, I think maybe was just sent over to learn everything she can about everybody. And I don't think that. And I think probably how this is going to end is that Ava has completely overreacted.
Yeah, I just to
because she's never done that before.
Tack on to what I said.
Right.
I didn't mean that I thought she was sent to investigate Eva. I just meant, do you think maybe that it had to do with she thought, like maybe she thought it was somebody else was part of the Eastern Federation and she just had bad intel. But I'm just wondering if you think it has to do with that.
I think
you don't at all.
I mean, personally, I think the Eastern Federation is maybe a little bit of a red herring, and I think the Bryce, if Eastern Federation means anything, I mean, I don't really think that Bryce was on the moon. I don't know. Frankly, I'm not that interested in these factions that existed on Earth, and don't really, I don't know. I had a lot of problems with this episode, actually. I mean, I liked it because I think generally they do Mystery of the Week fairly well on this show, right? And I like the whole I love the line Museum of Death, and it was kind of creepy, but the more I watched it, I was like, okay, how long have these bodies been dead? Because they're barely deteriorated, right?
Yeah, but they're in space.
They were
okay, I get that. Let me finish. They're in space, and if life support is turned off, there's no air, no aerobic bacteria.
Right.
But now there's like everybody's walking around breathing and talking. Like there's air, there's germs, there's whatever. Also, surely rigor mortis must have set in by now, but he's able to pose them all perfectly. Like I just felt like,
that's true.
and they look kind of more like zombies than they do
like
like. I know that maybe they don't have a Greg Nicotero budget for or like, you know, a high budget for whatever, but I thought it was cool, but I thought like if you start to think about it, if I pull that thread too hard, like scientifically it begins to fall apart a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I also go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's funny you say zombies because that was what I first thought about. Seeing everybody, I was like, it's a museum of wax zombies.
Yeah. I also felt like, you know how we always talk about how like on Falling Skies and Walking Dead, people are walking around the whole country bumping into everyone they knew 10 years ago. And on this show, we have people flying around in space, bumping into the only relative they have left alive. In the entire universe, I thought this story could have worked without it being her brother, and it could have worked better if it was Ava's brother.
You know what though? I'm okay with it for the simple fact that he was specifically looking for her, and he knew she was on an arc, so he went to an arc.
I guess, but he randomly came across so he stows away on an Eastern Federation ship, which got to be even harder than stowing away on an arc, but whatever. He managed to stow away on an Eastern Federation ship. They fly into space. He's trying to go to Proxima B, and they randomly stumble upon a disabled Arc 3, right? Not Arc 1. They stumble on Arc 3 floating around, and he's like, "Oh, my sister could be over there." Which, did he not know she was on Arc 1?
No, he didn't know which arc she was on.
I don't know. It all was very like,
I don't know, but he thought he could get them to help her, I guess, or to go get her, or whatever, to go after her. But if they didn't,
well, he didn't say that. He said my sister could be there, and they wouldn't stop, so I stole a shuttle and flew over there.
Yeah.
At any rate, no one was willing to help him.
At any rate, it's ludicrous. Like I complain that Rick Grimes walks to the next state and finds or that Morgan walks to Texas and, you know, and finds someone he knows. which is ludicrous enough. But these people are in the vastness of space and bump into each other. It's a little, I don't know, to me. And then it was her brother, and I mean, I do kind of, I don't know. I was like a little like it could have been any crazy guy or whatever. I don't know. At any rate, like it turns out that he knows something about. Looks like Ava maybe was in the Eastern Federation. I'm not sure. I did like the part where she has this conversation with the doctor, and then I forgot the name of the woman, the other Serbian woman. I do like the great number of Serbians on this show. She overhears. She tries to go to Felix.
Griff?
What's her name?
Griff,
right?
That's her name. I was looking for it. I couldn't find it.
And Griff goes to Felix, and she's like, "I think I might have heard something." And he's like, "Is it definite?" No. And he's like, "Well, then she said it to the doctor, and it's like
none of your business."
Medbay is he said that's a privileged space, and leave it at that. And I was impressed how Griff like her loyalty to Felix, and that even though Felix like demoted her. And and put her over in Medbay, and she really wants to be in security. She's not like she's loyal to him. She takes his orders, and when Kimmy tries to get her to talk, she's like, "I don't speak Serbian. I didn't hear it. I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't listening. I don't know what they said." And then there's Kimmy lurking about, so it looks like Felix is right. Like 2 weeks ago, I was like, "Oh, I like Kimmy. She's a good new addition. I believe that she really wanted to get away," and now she's a skulking, sneaking liar.
Like, it's actually funny. Kimmy's character is interesting until the reveal that she really is up to something. And like I said, now she's just got this look on her face all the time that I just want to smack. Like, she was a good spy until they told the audience that she was a spy.
Well, yeah. Yeah. And now she's like a little annoying.
But I guess
now she's overly obvious.
what she's spying. But do you think that do we think that Ava actually was part of the Eastern Federation, or just that she has a criminal past? Because it didn't say, but they kind of implied it, which makes me think it might not be that.
Well, that's exactly it. I think at the very least they want us to think it. How it pans out, obviously we'll just have to wait and see. It could be something a lot more innocent than that. It could be, who knows? I mean, everybody on the show has a past. Not everybody
Yeah.
Everybody's
it was her brother that said it, and like Saul said, she's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, or he was.
Everybody's
for Cocoa Puffs.
Everybody's got demons on the show. I mean, everybody's got a secret. I mean, look at Garnett. I mean, Garnett is a clone.
But
and now she's a captain. So
Ava's brother. I mean, he's not. So he suffered a mental break from being alone for so long. But he's not wrong. We saw Ava go in and delete her own criminal records out of the system.
But we don't know it. But we don't know
what it means.
Criminal records of what though.
Yeah. No, we don't. But it's enough that Ava's concerned about other people finding out about it. So right. So right. So she deletes it. So it exists. He wasn't making it up. It exists. It's a thing. I mean, I have some other problems here that if Ava's that worried about it, how come she never deleted it in all this time?
That would
because that was Arc 3.
Oh, she had to get 2 Arc.
You gotta remember switched when they switched the heads. All the data from Arc 3, is everything from Arc 3 is now on Arc 1.
But what are you suggesting, that she previously deleted it from Arc 1 and now she had to re-delete it because it was uploaded? Are you suggesting that she has done this before and we just didn't see it?
It's possible. Maybe the information wasn't even on Arc 1. We don't know.
Well, I mean, I find it hard.
But Alicia said something about Arc 3 having more information about like everybody. So it's possible because Arc 1 didn't have as much data as when Arc 3 left the dock. Okay, yeah, there we go.
I guess. I mean,
Arc says Arc 3 had updated information. See, she's always on the ball when we can't remember shit.
I get it, but how does it have updated information when Ava hasn't even been on the planet in between Arc 1 and 3? But
that would make me think it did have to do with the Federation. I don't know that it does.
But it's just updated information from Earth.
I don't know. So why are you updating everybody's criminal record? I mean, maybe they found out that a criminal got aboard Arc 1 later and they were like, we better put this in there. I don't know. It also was shockingly easy for Ava to find it and delete it. But also there's the part where yes, look, she sat down and like in 2 clicks, she pulled it up and deleted it. It was not
an engineer.
Yeah, I think she knew where to find it. It wasn't necessarily.
And then, look, she's an engineer. She's not I mean, an engineer doesn't know how to work every single thing on the entire ship and all the computer systems. Like
they're good when they do.
She knows how to fix the FTL. She knows how to fix the FTL drive. She's not a. I mean, a guy who knows how to do a lube job doesn't necessarily know how to reprogram all the computers that run your car, your Tesla, right? Like,
yeah, but I'm not sure it was necessarily.
All right, will you let me finish? Will you both just let me finish? Both of you just let me finish what I'm trying to say. That it was shockingly easy for her to do it, and she did it so fast. And the part that I'm trying to get to is that no information, like, ever really is deleted in a computer unless you really, really, really know what you're doing. And I'm sure this information is not really gone and will come up again. Someone's going to find it. Someone's going to have to be going through the computer and it's going to come up.
Probably Alicia.
Yeah, probably.
The fact that she so quickly was like, boop, boop, boop. Like, I think that it like, there's always backup drive, especially on a ship like that, right? There's always backups. There's always whatever. So that's where I was going with that. So, whew, boy, thank you. Now I got it out.
Okay.
I will mute myself again.
I guess my point was just that pulling up information on somebody's profile isn't necessarily reprogramming the computer system.
Look,
that's all I was trying to say.
It's security information. Every single person can't get into every single.
No, you're right, and that's what.
And she sat down,
had the access,
and did it. She's from engineering. She's not from security. She's not from command. She's not from. Right? Like she doesn't have I don't think she has access to everything. It just seemed really easy for her to like be like, oh shit, I better like it. How does she even know it's in there? Like it has updated information. Like she just whatever. Because this is the show. The show is not really like how would she even know to look for it? It's kind of like so we had a separate. I know a picture. We had a ridiculous storyline. Not even a storyline, a ridiculous 2 minutes of now Angus feels like he's not needed aboard the ship because other people who came over from the other arc are excellent horticulturalists. And they made improvements to his system. And I guess because he's basically a child, he's feeling not needed and almost not happy that they made improvements, right? So Alicia has to reassure him that he's still needed. We had I'm really getting sick of Trust Boy. Although I like that picture how that's Kelly in the blur behind
that is cool. With Angus remember Angus has always been had self-esteem issues. So it's not really surprising that he's feeling like this. I mean, since we met the guy, he was supposed to be an assistant, and from day one, after everybody, all the officers got blown off the ship, minus 3 of them, they were like, all right, Angus, you have scrap to work with. Figure out how to make, food and irrigation for us.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing. Angus did a great job, and everybody, was like, oh my God, Angus, you saved, you did such a wonderful job. You created something out of nothing. And now there's other people with more advanced technologies and everything, and people that have been doing it for a while. And he's he's just feeling down about himself because he's always been that person. So it's not really surprising.
And I guess there were probably some senior agriculturalists on the Ark who were killed in the blowout, right? That's what we're saying.
Yeah, not to mention the woman that he spoke to was from 15. And she was very condescending towards him.
She was kind of
not even it's really amazing what you did with you had so little, and it's amazing what you did. But because we have more stuff now, blah blah blah. She was just like, oh, great. Do you even belong here? Who are you? Go. She was just very dismissive of him, and with his already low self-esteem, I'm not surprised. But yeah, I was gonna actually bring this up next. So what do we think about the fact that we find out Maddox poisoned her father?
Not surprised.
No, I'm not either.
I mean, I forget why she poisoned him, and I'm not sure
she's
how.
Maddox.
Well, exactly. We don't really have any, like, who knows if it's even true. Trust hates Kelly because he holds her responsible for, well, because she did kill his wife, right? He hates Kelly. He says it without any real, like, motive. He doesn't go into any, like, motive, opportunity, proof, whatever. And if it's true, he knows it, but I guess she was never, like, charged, arrested, prosecuted, convicted, right? Like, there seems to be, and Kelly, like, just accepts it. I'm not sure it's true. Or if it is true, how he says it so matter-of-factly. He says it almost like, oh, everyone knows. Like, he doesn't really say that, but he's like, oh yeah, your mother poisoned your father, and your father is trying to get you away from her because she's a horrible person, so she poisoned him. I don't know. It might not be true. Trust, it's hard for me to, I mean, it might be true because I'm not sure we're watching a show that is creating this kind of thing where he'd lie, but I'm getting kind of sick of him. Sometimes when he's a whiny baby, he's sort of entertaining, but in general, he's a gigantic jerk. Who also, like, his moral high ground of, like, how, oh, Kat, oh, Helena, oh.
But they're never going to be able to get rid of him because of his knowledge, which kind of.
And he's, like, done a lot of bad shit also, right? He's not like, it's not like he's some kind of, like the other version of him was such a better person who, right? Like, I don't know, I'm getting sick of him. And he, like, doesn't really have enough value to me, the storyline that, like, once every 3 episodes he drops a piece of science. Like, could we just have a talking computer that drops a piece of science? Like, to me, his character is not he's more annoying than he's contributing to the story. And I'd like to see him maybe evolve a little bit or have more value than just being, like, a walking physics textbook that validates Alicia's statements.
That's a good thing.
Right? Like, but this happened also in this episode. Proving the point that Kelly should not be allowed to control her, right?
Well,
like,
yeah.
I mean, we all knew that. And then Kelly immediately, as soon as she gets out, she, like, almost kills this guy. And then she's all like, I'm sorry, I was mad, right?
Do you not feel like,
you know what's funny?
She partially, though, was also showing that she could control it if she wanted to, but also kind of like, I can do what I want anyway. But yet I don't.
The problem is,
I don't know that it came across right.
If Kelly gets angry, yeah, I wouldn't trust Kelly with those.
No, I wouldn't trust her either. I'm just saying, I feel like she was trying to show, you didn't trust me, but I'm still not killing you. Like,
I don't think so. I think she lost her shit, and he barely talked her down, and she finally let him go. But I don't think she was demonstrating something here. I think she was completely.
She was trying to. I don't know that it went well, but
I think she was absolutely out of control in the shot. She's psychotic. She can't control herself. I think she was trying to demonstrate her strength. I don't think she was trying to demonstrate that she can control it. I think she was trying to demonstrate I can kill you.
I think the ironic thing about it is she attacks the one person who's been in her corner.
Yeah. I'm getting kind of sick of her too. I'm not really. At the beginning of the season, I was like, oh, now that Garnett was nice to her, I think they're gonna, like, Kelly's gonna start changing, and they're gonna trust her and be friends. And now I think they should have airlocked her.
Well,
she's like the Mr. Wilford of the show. She needs to think.
I wouldn't go that far.
Well, in the sense of being a character that should have been killed, but everybody's like doesn't kill her, and it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, but you know what though? I think if she turned around and was being a good person already and being nice and trying to redeem herself, I think you'd have I'd complain about that.
Yeah, we'd say she switched personalities too fast.
Her transition is too quick. So I kind of like that it's not happening overnight. Like, there's subtle things with her. I mean, granted, I don't trust her with those powers. Regulating herself.
Yeah.
But
I think it's definitely going to come up that if she couldn't have regulated herself, she can't save XYZ. I think that will probably happen, though. I still feel like that.
Well, she did regulate. She has the power to turn them on and off now, thanks to
Right.
Kat.
But I'm saying I think there's going to come something that's going to happen where she's going to have to use those powers to save.
Oh, absolutely. That's how TV shows work.
that's what's coming.
Her powers are a bionic arm, fake lungs, and super hearing, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
And coming back from the dead.
And coming back from the dead. Those are her powers. They're going to need a bionic arm to save someone's life or something. But I think last week, it almost looked like with Kat, they were going to some sort of like self-determination story. You have the right to regulate yourself. How can they? And we're like, Kat, she's psychotic. That's why she can't. It's not about the rights.
And she never tried to find out.
It's not about the rights of a person who to control themselves. It's about not putting a gun in the hand of a mentally ill person is more what I see Kelly being.
Yeah, that's accurate. But yeah, it's gonna come back around.
Right? Kelly's like psychotically angry and creepy and stalkery and just totally unstable. And she's basically like, I mean, there was a bomb inside of her 3 weeks ago, right? Like I'm not sure what's going. I'm kidding. And I'm not sure where this was going, where they're talking through the hole in the wall. And Trust's like, yeah, I want to talk to you because I hate you and I want to make you feel bad. And then
unless Trust is going to do something stupid and she's going to
well, he'll try to kill her. Any chance he gets, he'll try to kill her.
Yeah.
About because he was so in love with his dead wife, who was cheating on it, who isn't so
I know, right?
Like he was totally in love with Kat and cheating on his wife until Helena was dead, and then Helena's some kind of a saint, right?
Yeah.
And he's just he's very annoying. He's a very annoying person who really, I'm not sure. Again, I don't know what he's contributing to the show except for validating that Alicia, because Alicia, like allowing Alicia to be right.
However, there was a bit of proof that when he wants to be, he can be helpful because he is pretty brilliant. Because I thought that was really cool when he explained that he designed the Ark to be taken apart, so when they got to a planet, the Ark could actually be used as the first habitat.
That was cool. That was new.
I thought that was pretty
good
cool. And then the head of the Ark, stays in orbit.
And that was new information for us, at least as viewers, right?
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
We didn't know that. Yeah.
So some of their rooms, I guess, aren't damaged that were now.
Yeah, the whole part of the ship was blown out, and like people don't have quarters. Like they have better quarters.
Yeah, they have homes now or bedrooms now.
Well, they have more than they have. I mean, there's crew quarters, but because the front end of the ship, all the officers, like they didn't have officers. That's officer space. Like we see most of the crew sleeping in berths.
But anyway,
we see most of the crew sleeping in berths because that's how a ship works, right? And the officers have different quarters, and so there's more space now. So Spence got some quarters. I don't know where
Spence. I was thinking it was Garnet's.
I haven't seen him in a berth. I don't know where he was sleeping before. I don't really care. The point of that was to show the two of them becoming more friendly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the point, yeah. So, anywho.
Well, do we have anything else to add?
No, I don't do any. I
Nope.
don't think I have any
All
comments.
right.
I think there's only one thing to say about the Ark left.
Yeah. Our news for next week. Now, it's not live because it will not be we cannot get the interview live on the podcast, unfortunately, but we will be taking questions. Before next week, we'll be talking to Richard and Reese about the show. So if you have any questions for the actors, send them. Can't see the Ark logo. The Twitter thing's going on. But anyway, just send them on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call them. Actually, I just realized we probably should update that Twitter link at the bottom.
Everybody still calls it Twitter.
I still call it Twitter. But anyway, tweet. I don't know what you say other than tweet. Send a post to @Scifi Vision with your questions for the actors, or if you want to comment on the podcast where you can put comments, or in the chat. If you are on Scifi Vision, you can do that. But if you put it through NDB Media, we may not see it to get the questions because we're not in that account. So as long as the questions go to Scifi Vision, we will try to get your questions asked. And we'll go through and see what we get. Yeah. So if you have questions, send them.
I think we would have loved to have them live on our show, right? But it's just not possible.
Yeah, we just can't get access
Yeah,
that way.
they
And
won't-
it's hard too because they're in London. So that kind of messes up the time a little bit. But we're gonna get them, and we will be posting the interview in its entirety next Tuesday during our show. So
How exciting.
make sure you tune in. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, and I'm sure some of our chatters, I'm sure Ark and Sol and some other people know that Michael over at Talented Universe, I think he has some writers and other kinds of production people scheduled from the Ark to be on his show in the coming weeks, right?
Yeah. So, just check out all of NDB Media for all the art coverage, and hopefully we'll be getting some more as well. We'll see. But anyway, that's our news. And we probably should mention it again at the end of the show for anybody who missed it, but at least anybody who listened to our ARC part hopefully got the info, and I'm gonna tweet it as well, put it on X.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do you, and obviously this will be, the episode airs tomorrow, so people might not, if you watch tomorrow's episode, then see what questions you have, I guess was what I was going to say. All right, do we want to do Orphan Black or Snowpiercer next?
Let's talk about Orphan Black.
Okay, I will take that off, and you can put on your Orphan Black pictures. There we go.
Okay, so this was episode 9, the second to last episode of the season, and the title was Attracting Awful Things. Which I could make a lot of jokes about that right now, but I won't. This was a good and a frustrating episode in my book, but let me cut to you guys first.
Let me start, because there's only one way to start talking about Echoes. Fuck Delphine.
Oh, I hate Delphine. I've always hated Delphine. Oh.
I saw her walk in, and Artie was like, "Oh my god," and I went, "Fuck." I was like, of all the guest stars you can have.
So did you not know? I had read a long time ago that
I had no idea.
The show. Oh, I'm so glad that you could be surprised, because I've been waiting and waiting for her to show up.
Oh, that was a surprise, all right.
Yeah, she's one of my least favorite people from the original show. I mean, not the actor, right, but the character.
The character, yeah. I mean, I gotta say though, the fact that her and Cosima are still married all these years later, I guess Delphine finally got her shit together.
Must have, yeah.
I guess what I didn't like the part was, like, she comes to help Kira, and then when they're trying to get a plan and they really need help, she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I gotta get back to Cosima." First of all, like, Cosima's not a baby who can't stay home alone, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, "Really, you're not going to help? I guess your contract is only for a cameo."
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I feel like, as much as we've made fun of Felix's makeup job to make him look older and everything, hers was awful.
Yeah, I think there's no photograph. I don't think there was a photo. No, there's no photo of her in the press shots, because I guess maybe that would have been. Those go up. They didn't want to be spoiled, right? Those go up a little bit in advance. They didn't want to be spoiled. So,
yeah, I don't think they had a big enough maybe budget to do the kind of makeup that it needed.
Or just not do. I don't feel like there was too much. Like, I feel like they tried too hard to make her look older. Like, you can make her look older without putting pounds of fake skin on her, whatever the hell they did, because she just, I don't know. Like, her face, I don't know. Her face just looked like Play-Doh, for lack of a better description.
I know. And, like, I would hope that 35 years from now in the future, they'll have even better anti-aging methods and we'll all look fantastic. Right?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you figure she's maybe 60? I mean, look at some of the actresses in Hollywood. I'm sure, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Well, I'm not sure. Delphine herself isn't supposed to be an actress, but yeah.
What I'm saying is, what I'm getting at is,
didn't have to look that
even
old.
all right.
Yeah,
in today's in today's world, people are aging a lot more graceful than they used to. It's just the evolution or the better living or whatever you want to call it. So in 2055, I would like to believe that. I mean, hell, not for nothing. I mean, I don't know. I like again, Felix is just as old as Delphine, and doesn't look like he has Play-Doh on his face.
Yeah, I mean, this show, their budget, I guess, is not,
I don't know. I don't know.
I know.
Sorry.
Her appearance was, she showed up for a little bit of a, I mean, I think look, she was a little helpful, but that was mostly fan service, right? And so,
Yeah.
I don't know for who.
Well,
not me.
To provide the connection to the world that we love.
I like that they had her as a guest star. Do I per se like Delphine as a character? Maybe not so much, but I like that they brought the actress in.
I mean,
I think that it's cool to have a connection. Did we need to? Probably not. But
if you want to bring a helpful connection, who's good at unearthing stuff, you could have brought Art in. Art could have he was a cop. He knows how to find stuff.
That's actually true.
I think you can't get Tatiana Maslany. I do think Delphine.
No, you don't.
I think Delphine best in terms of we keep talking about how Kira should know better, and Kira's a scientist, and what Kira's been through with the clones, and Kira should know better. And I guess Delphine is like the closest thing we're going to get to, Clone Club saying like, "What the hell are you doing? Stop, fix it, figure it out." Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, I guess.
So we got her.
Yeah, I mean, I guess on one hand, Delphine kind of makes sense simply because she even says, I didn't always do the right thing. Like Delphine kind of gets it because Delphine didn't always do the right thing. There were times where Delphine betrayed them and then came back around. So
I mean, Delphine was a villain when she first came around.
Yeah.
On the show.
Casima's love brought her to Clone Club.
Yeah. So a lot of stuff happened in this episode.
Yes. Craig's not dead, at least not yet.
Not yet, although he's being tended to by
God.
So there's only the back of Craig's head in these pictures. That's the back of Craig's head. I don't have any front of Craig's head this week. He looked like he was going to bleed out until, lo and behold, Lucy / Jules / Eleanor Oneg. So he can get he got a transfusion to help him. And he won't. I thought his reason for not going to the hospital was a bit weak, right? He doesn't want to go to the hospital because he drove the getaway car in a robbery like 35 years ago. And there's
it wasn't a robbery. They burnt down a building and there was people inside.
Yeah, so he would go to jail if they caught him.
That's a little different. He's had a warrant out for his arrest ever since.
For like 30 years, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. So he's like, I'll just stay here and bleed to death in my AA program that I run. Seemed a little, I don't know. But it was a way to bring back, what's this guy's name? Nick? Rick?
No, Jack.
Jack. I knew it ended in a CK.
I just thought of something funny.
What?
Yeah.
Jack and Jules. It's like they couldn't come up with any other better.
Jack and Jules.
Jack and Jules.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. No. The minute I saw Craig was alive, I was like, okay, well, they're gonna call Jack because he's a medic.
Yeah, we need.
So much for him and Charlie hopping a flight.
Yeah. So that part was kind of annoying, right? Like, no pictures of Charlie in this week's photo dump from. But
do you have any pictures of Tom?
No, I have no pictures of Tom. I have no pictures of Tom dancing around his room, singing. It's all pictures of. Oh, there's Craig. There's the front of Craig's head. No, there were no pictures of Tom. There's like a couple pictures of Xander, like most of the photos.
That's a shame because that's oh my God, Tom.
Thomas
With
is worse.
Oh, he really is. But that the scene with him and Charlie was hilarious.
Oh, that was pretty hilarious. And of course, you knew immediately that he was going to kidnap her, right? Like,
Yeah,
I said that 2 weeks ago.
I know, and I was like, yeah, thinking I can't say that, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that he was fired last week, basically, right?
Yeah.
Like evil genius billionaire guy.
Daros.
Daros was like, okay, you're fired. I'm gonna, take care of this now. I don't need you. But Tom is like obsessed. He basically wants to kill Lucy. He basically wants to kill Lucy because he thinks she killed his friend, or who really Charlie killed.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like kidnapping. It's exactly what Tom would do. You knew he was going to do it as soon as he came to the house, right?
Yeah.
And he just, I don't know. It's annoying that it seems like Charlie has been in this show for the sole purpose of being kidnapped in the last moment, right?
Yeah.
So that Lucy can sacrifice herself.
You know what pissed me off though is a pretty good fight between Tom and Tina, and then Charlie comes around the corner and sees it and stands there. Run!
Yeah.
She was in shock.
Okay, she had the presence of mind to kill that other guy when he was
but
Lucy.
Maybe she didn't want to do it again.
I mean, I think she's
to kill Tom. Just run.
I think she's shown that she can react in a tough situation, but she, just kind of stood there and waited to be kidnapped. That was kind of dumb. Yeah. So we had this whole other thing going on in this episode where Kira goes to this creep, she finds out it blew my mind when they're like, oh, Daros bought this little piece of property and he invested $44 billion in it. And I'm like, wait, what?
Must be important.
Nothing I've seen there cost $44 billion. I mean, does Kira's printer that he basically stole? I don't know what the $44 billion went into. That's
the underwater server.
Oh yeah, the gigantic underwater server,
which has everybody on the planet's medical history.
Well, everybody in the country. They said everybody in the country.
Oh, they said country? Okay.
They said everybody in the country.
That's still scary and probably still cost a lot of money.
Well, it does explain how he got Eleanor's DNA as a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not really sure why he did that. Why he bought he bought all of the there's only 40 million people in Canada. It's not that big. I mean, compared to the United States, it's much less densely populated, right? It's very big, actually. There's only 40 million people there, but did he, what's his plan? Because up until now, it appeared that Lucy/Jules was a test case for the purpose of printing himself to perpetuate his own existence. So why does he need it's much bigger, right? Why does he need all the people in Canada? And so that there's this whole thing where Kira, they break into the bank with Jules's mom, they find out Kira drives super fast to this place. She the thing that looks like a Dyson hand dryer in the restroom is a countdown clock. Doesn't look like a restroom dryer. I washed my hands on a rest stop.
I hadn't thought it until you showed this picture like this as a still. I hadn't really thought about it.
Yeah, it does.
Exactly like that thing in the rest stop. You can't get in, right? She's like, oh, what should I do? And so they get this bright idea that they can get Xander to do it.
Who already feels guilty because he shot Craig by accident.
Well, in this scene, he has taken like a massive amount of drugs.
That
Yeah.
too.
Right.
He
You
took
don't know
all
what
of the
he's doing.
drugs, everything that was in that
Yeah.
inhaler. He inhaled the whole thing.
Yeah, because
And somehow he's still breathing.
Yeah. But it so he there were a lot of pictures of this scene. And the clones all put him up to it, and he's able to trigger it, but it triggers a memory from the past. Well, and I just want to say, remember last week when I was like, maybe Xander's not the first one. Maybe he'll kill him and reprint him out again. Maybe he's done it before. And you guys like, oh, maybe that's right. And that's exactly what happens in this episode, right? We see that there was a previous printout that Daros was like, oh, whatever, we'll let nature take its course. And just let him die. And then, printed out another one.
But first he put his sister's necklace on him.
Oh yeah, wasn't that creepy and weird?
Yeah, I didn't get that. He's Daros cuckoo.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. I was not at all surprised. I'm sure you guys were not at all surprised to find that Daros would print, if this, So, and that was crazy. They're like, oh, his skull isn't fully closed. The print wasn't good, and his skull's not closed, and I guess his brain is protruding, right? And he's gonna die.
Or at the very least, the pink goo was.
Or his spinal fluid or a cerebral fluid or whatever that was.
I mean,
and yet it looked
happen, but generally to babies.
It looked a little bit like he was, well, in babies you have surgery right away.
Yeah.
They fix that in vitro actually, I think sometimes. But the memory, I guess, was a memory of Daros. It's weird. Where'd that memory come from? Because would Daros, so you scan your memories, you upload them into your printout. In order for Xander to have a memory of that, wouldn't Daros have had to rescan his memories again before he printed out the next version in order for that memory to go into the new version?
Maybe, unless maybe the point is maybe we'll find out if there's another season. Maybe the memories in their DNA or something, some of the memories or whatever.
But
maybe
it would be it would be a pre-memory.
Yeah, because it would have been before he created him. You're right. Or after he created the other one. Yeah, I don't know.
After the first one, who maybe his name wasn't Xander, maybe his name was Gander. He samples his DNA memories. He makes Gander. Gander dies. In order for Gander to have that memory, he would have had to re-scan his, right? So that, what's up with that?
Well, to be fair, knowing Daros, just because he's a billionaire and that, he may make new scans all the time. It could be, for all we know, obsessive about
Jamie might be right. I mean, we don't know how many years ago that was.
Yeah.
All right. Was it? All right. Let me rephrase that. It was within the last 2 years. So, but yeah, Jamie's probably right. There might be new information that Daros wants his clone to have, so he would scan himself again. Because
maybe
that
he tried to block it.
He might scan himself right before they create the new clone, so that they have everything.
Yeah.
Everything he's done the last week.
Or maybe just to be safe, to not get a bad printout, let's just do it all over again to make it all clear or whatever, right? You never know.
It makes me think of, what was that show on Netflix? I'm completely blanking. The one where their memories were downloaded every so often or whatever. We could have something like that. Who knows?
Huh?
I can't think of the name of the show. It was a series we watched, and I am completely.
That we watched?
Yes, that we watched. They changed the main actor the second time. They went into bodies. They they transferred their consciousness through a chip in the back of their neck or something. I can't even remember. It was a Netflix series. We liked it. We watched it. It had 2 seasons, and I can't for the life of me remember what the hell it's called or who's in it to even look it up. The one from, I know who's in it. Hold on. I'll tell you what it's called. Let me look up. Let's see. I got to look up the actor in another show, and then I can look up him.
All right. Well, while you look that up and hold that thought.
Look that up. I have one thing we haven't talked about. What did you guys think about Eleanor not calling 911 when her father committed suicide?
Oh yeah, that was huge piece of information, right? We see the memory, and that we see a new version of that memory, that when she went in there and saw him and was like, I'm going to call 911, he shook his head.
Altered Carbon. That's what I was thinking of. That I was blanking.
I didn't watch. I didn't watch Carbon.
Okay. I didn't watch it either.
Neither of you watched it. I swear we talked about it on the podcast. Okay.
I recall you. I recall you talking about it and saying we should watch it.
It was good.
Yeah, I didn't watch it.
Anyway, I was going to ask, though, it was making me wonder, you know, you talk about, like, was she a prototype or not? I kind of wonder if it's more like a experiment control. Like he had one where he told all the memories and one where he didn't, or where he tried to block them, like to maybe see how they grew up different, or I don't, although he could have used 2 Xanders to do that. I'm just wondering if maybe it's something like that.
When it comes to Daros, we could speculate all day until we get more information about what he's up to.
I mean, Lucy was definitely a test, but she wasn't a control because you'd have to use 2 Xanders to.
No, Lucy wasn't a test. Lucy,
Jules was a test.
Jules. I just meant maybe he wanted to see the difference between how it worked when he told them and everything, and how it worked when he did the opposite. But yes, it would make more sense to make more than 1 Xander. It doesn't necessarily explain that.
I mean, I would say maybe, we won't know, but he might have done Eleanor. He might have done Lucy, Eleanor, Jules. He might have done Jules first, because Lucy was already in the scanner, right? And he just had to get the updated medical records to do the earlier, like I don't really believe he bought all the medical records in the entire country just to get Jules' scans. He could have gotten.
Oh no, he has them for another reason. What that reason is, I don't know.
Yeah.
He has everybody's for a reason.
I mean, I think there are many reasons why he used her as a test. That have to do with Kira already having done a lot of the legwork on the Eleanor / Lucy. But yeah, that whole thing.
Know
what?
It could be because he wanted to print Xander out at a teenage age. He wanted to test it with, because all right, so with Eleanor being older, but being printed out in her 30s, and now we want to try and see if it works as a teenager too, whereas Daros himself is in his 50s maybe.
Yeah.
He wants to print out.
For all we know, he could have an older version of himself too.
But what I'm saying is, he wants to print out himself, a younger version of himself, but use Jules as a test subject. Because we already know that there was a successful one in her 30s, so we want to try it again. And
maybe eliminate all of problems it could have been, because we know that Eleanor already, or we know that Lucy already worked, so we know that her DNA works to do it. So let's
make an older version of himself, Jamie. Unless you mean older.
Not an older version. I mean older than Xander version.
You mean in between Xander and?
Yes, I didn't mean older than he is now. Sorry, I see the way I said that, but that was
I'm glad you clarified that.
Older than Xander.
Why would he make an older version?
Yeah,
closer to his real age version.
At any rate, to AJ's question, like, what'd you think of the revelation that young Eleanor didn't call the police to help her father? I mean, that can be viewed, I guess, as an act of mercy, that her father's bleeding to death, and she's like, I'm going to call someone, and he shakes his head in a like a please don't kind of a thing, right? And she just turns up the music and doesn't do anything. I don't know how to feel about that.
Yeah, I was definitely shocked by it, and it mostly left me wondering why they needed to show us that. How does that play in at some point?
I mean, that's a good point.
I mean, was that the only way she could deal with it? I don't know.
I think her father was. I think it was that the father was like, I'm trying to die here. I'm in too much pain. Don't make me live, right? And also, it was wasn't it previously talked about that he was abusive, right? Like part of his I
don't know.
Was part of his depression that he was abusive. I don't really
I don't remember that. So I don't know.
Or I think that maybe not abusive, but that they were very uncomfortable around him. That he like living with him was difficult. At any rate, like yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. Like I don't know if that was being merciful and like help, or if it was like, I hate you, and so sure, yeah, you want to die, go ahead and die.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. And like big Eleanor, old Eleanor, like obviously remembers it, but hasn't said anything. But I think the biggest question is what AJ says, like, why did they feel they had to show us that? Why is that an important part of the development, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, that's
Guess we'll find out in season 2.
I guess we'll find out in season 2, yeah. Because there's too much to finish next week. We got to rescue Charlie, was going to take up at least like 20% of the
we don't have to rescue Charlie.
Well, we don't have to, but Lucy is going to feel like she has to, right?
Not for nothing. I mean, Kira, all the times Kira got kidnapped, we didn't rescue her all in the same season always.
Well, yeah.
We had to wait a season.
Yeah. So, and how about the other thing? I don't have a picture of, but didn't the log show that he's made 12 printouts, right? Isn't that what it shows?
Yes, it says 12. I got this written here so I don't say the wrong thing. I saw there's 12 body scans that are in like the, I don't know what you want to call it, like the queue or whatever. That the last part that was the machine was used for. There's 12 full body scans.
Not that were uploaded. There were 12 that were printed, that were scanned in, or that were printed out. I
don't know. I would say scanned. I don't know whether they were printed or not, but there's 12. That's what's. Well, I mean, that's clearly not just Jules and Xander.
That could just be Jules's 12 body scans from when she was a kid, right? Or it could be 12.
Could be, but I don't think that's what it was implying. But yeah,
I think it's 12 printouts. I think it speaks to 12 printouts, and whether those are 12 versions of Xander that have been done over and over again, or has he made 12 people?
Or if there's other, exactly, if there's other printouts out there.
I mean, judging by this show, like Jules, because Jules, Jamie, stop.
I'm just teasing.
That Jules,
not like people can't find out.
That people don't want to find out is the point. That Jules would say, aren't there like 110 clones by now? And somebody, Delphine or Kira says, actually it's like 65 or something like that.
Yeah.
I think, like, I don't know. I felt like the reference to the large number also was a little bit of like a
fan thing.
A foreshadow of like that maybe there are many more printed people out there.
Yeah, I really did like that though. It was like, I love how she's like, oh my god, she's one of the like I love the fact that the Sarah clones, you know, all of them and everything, that they're like national news. Like everybody knows about it.
Oh yeah. That was kind of part of, if you listen to the podcast, that was like,
I never did.
It all comes out in the podcast. It all comes out in the news, in that or audio story or whatever you want to call it. It all comes out. Cloning comes out in
the public.
And because there's that disease that the clones are getting, like Delphine dedicates her life to finding other clones and vaccinating them. And so that they continue to find so many. But yeah, I love that too, that it's like, that it's known that it's a real thing. I mean, it's a way to set it in the Orphan Black universe, but it sets it like firmly in the future, right? In a place where this stuff is possible and like well known.
I love Jules. I think reason I liked it so much was I love Jules's reaction to it. Like she got all fangirl on it.
Yeah.
She was like, God, that was your mom?
Yeah. Yeah, to get into it. But yeah, I'm a little I don't know. I'm kind of not psyched that it looks like the last episode is going to have a big focus on like like the Charlie kidnapping and like what's Lucy's decision going to be. I wouldn't be surprised if Lucy died, like sacrificed herself maybe to save or gets killed trying to save Charlie in like a heroic act, but also like I'm not sure that where all these characters. I like my favorite scenes are of the three clones, the three printouts together. I guess they're
mine too.
I guess they're a type of
we
clone.
call them clones, but they're not. They're kind of sort of.
They're type of a clone.
Yeah.
I mean, in the sense that a clone is a exact copy, but
Clone Club has a better ring than Printout Club.
It does. Print Posse. How about the Print Posse?
Print Posse.
I like that.
Jules' mom joined the Print Posse.
But I don't know. I like them together, but I also wonder like whose story has run her course, who needs to stay and who doesn't need to stay. Particularly if they're going to add more printout. Like maybe.
Well, I think at this point they all need to stay right now.
Or maybe Lucy, Jack, and Charlie get away, and we just have Jules carrying the story next season.
That's not going to happen. Because Lucy is not going anywhere with all this happening. She's not going to leave her.
I mean, right? That's where her character's going. That she's like, "Sorry, Jack. Sorry, Charlie. Bye."
That's where this is going. They're going to save Charlie. Lucy's going to say, "This is too dangerous." Jack's going to be like, "I know. We need to get out of here." And she's like, "You're right. You do need to get out of here." Jack, you and Charlie go. I'm staying. And he's going to be like, "What do you mean you're staying?" She's like, "I can't leave now."
The only thing that made me think it might not go that way is when Charlie's kind of like, "Oh, mom left."
Yeah.
Jack's like, "Oh, mom left because she couldn't deal," and Charlie's like, "No, mom left because of you. And if you don't help Lucy, she's gonna leave too."
Yeah, but you know what? That was just to get Jack to go help Craig, because he wasn't going to go help Craig.
No, it wasn't going to help Craig, but I don't know.
And to get, that was get him to leave so that Charlie was left there with Tina, so that Tom could inject her and knock her out.
And also to make it extra heartbreaking when Lucy's like, "You have to leave."
Yeah.
Like, it's to make it extra heartbreaking for us to feel bad for Charlie when Lucy's like, "No, you got to go. Sorry." Right.
But Lucy, she got to tell Charlie, she's like, "I'm not leaving you guys. I'll find you later."
Yeah. Well, there's way too much I'm not even sure what could be resolved next week. I mean, there's so much that's on that just can't be resolved too quickly.
No.
Like maybe Jack and Charlie leave, and also if Tom would get killed, that would be pretty satisfying.
Well, I feel like this is, I mean, I don't know, if there's obviously we don't know any of the behind the scenes stuff, but this is a creative team that gave us 5 wonderful seasons of Orphan Black. They've got a good track record. This show has had a couple problems. Most people have bitched about Kira, but the characters have bitched about Kira just as much as we have. So they're self-aware that Kira should know better. I mean, maybe they've already had a conversation about a second season. They haven't announced it. Or they're just like, "Listen, we're going to do our thing, and we either get renewed or we don't. And we're very sorry to the public if we don't get renewed and leave all these threads hanging, because you can't write a TV show and hope to get another season if you wrap everything." This is not a show where you wrap everything up neatly at the end of season 1, because there's going to be some threads for season 2.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
So I'm not expecting, I mean, I'm sure we'll get, each season always kind of gets some kind of closure of one thing, but we're going to have 3 or 4 other things that we're going to be waiting until season 2 to find out about, if not beyond that even,
Yeah.
So,
all right. So we'll get one more episode next week, and we'll see what happens and await renewal.
Well,
in the meantime, we got one more show slated for tonight. Snowpiercer. This was episode number 5. It's titled The Engineer. This was the second time I watched this episode. let me go to you guys for some commentary on what happens in the
my
episode.
main comment is I'm mad about Ben. That's my comment. Let me ask you a question though before I go into my opinion, because there's one thing I don't know if I didn't understand, and I didn't have time to go back because I watched it today and I didn't get a chance. But okay, so he manually disconnects Big Alice, and I totally get that. At least that was my understanding from what he did. Was that not okay? So who's driving Big Alice though?
Miles.
Alex. Oh, Miles. Alex decided to stay on Snowpiercer. Decided to stay at the decided to stay with Wilford at the compound.
Okay, Miles is on Ben. That's what I was trying to figure out, because they kept showing everybody, and I thought they were all on Snowpiercer, and I'm like, he can't drive it. He's like going to be dead in a second. So
apparently nobody is driving Snowpiercer right now.
No, they're not. None of their people are on Snowpiercer. They got. I mean, there might be some people stragglers that got left behind, but the bulk of everybody from Snowpiercer is now on Big Alice on their way to New Eden.
Yes, not everyone. They did.
No, wait. They're all on Big Alice.
As many. They said we're going to get as many. They knew they couldn't get everyone, but they said we're going to get as many people as we can.
I thought those people were still on Snowpiercer. Whenever Ruth ran across, that was Big Alice.
Yes.
That makes more sense. That makes a lot more sense. Okay, I totally missed that. That's my fault. I missed that. I wondered. I'm thinking, like, what the hell? They can't just like leave it there to drive itself. They're not going to come find it. Okay, that made more sense now to me. Other than me being stupid and not getting that, I enjoyed the episode. I kind of feel bad in a way for Leighton, because he's like trying so hard to get his daughter, and they're like behind the scenes doing everything they can to screw what's his face, and he doesn't even know they're doing it. And then Millie, whatever his name is, comes back, and he's like, I still keep my promises. Like, Leighton didn't break his promise. He didn't even know what happened. He wasn't with them. But yeah, I don't like the whole thing with Josie. I'm not sure where that's going. I guess he's pissed because they didn't get what they want, so they're going to experiment on her or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing to Josie.
Yeah,
I don't know why there was a thing of blood of Wilford's next to hers on the rack.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if they were just taking all her blood out because they needed it to treat people, maybe, and they're just going to kill her. I don't know, or if they're going to torture her or whatever. I didn't like that part, so I don't know. But yeah, other than that, I liked it. I kind of wondered how the hell Ben was going to get to there to separate it. I thought what was going to happen, which I was totally wrong. But again, I totally misunderstood what was happening. So that may be why. But I thought like he was going to have to like touch something to turn it. And like, but I'm like, we're in a concurrent time period though. So that couldn't make sense. Because at first I thought maybe like his hand was going to freeze or something. And we were going to find out like that was his hand. But that had happened, I think, before. So it wouldn't have made sense to line up anyway. But yeah.
Yeah,
this show is very tense, Karen. I agree with what you were saying. Like, this is a lot.
One thing with Ben, I felt like once he disconnected the trains, he just sat there. Like he didn't even try to come back.
Try to get back in. I agree.
I feel like he had more time, and then he just sat in the doorway and stared at Till. I feel like he definitely had more time to at least attempt to get to the next car, to get back into the warmth. I mean, he might have had some frostbite and might have lost an appendage or two, but he could have lived. And then, of course, so after he froze stiff, I said to Artie, I was like, well, maybe he's only partly dead, and Dr. Quackers can bring him back.
So I really disagree with you. Remember that it's routinely like it's minus 117 degrees outside without the wind of the rushing train. He was outside in basically like a parka
or whatever.
He was outside not wearing anything more than basically like a coat like that for a good 5 minutes at least. I mean, we've seen people stick their arm out the window when it gets frozen solid and chopped off in season 1 in like 30 seconds, right? We've seen people die.
Colder back then.
We've seen people die no, it's not. It's only warm and isolated pockets, right? it's, I mean, it's maybe a little warmer, yeah, but I think, yeah, he was outside long enough. I think that I think he was already pretty much too frozen to be able to get up and try to, like, see how his eyeballs were like freezing solid, which can happen. You know how just like tears freeze
like
on
Doctor
your,
Who when he explained that.
you know, you guys, when you go outside and it's a little cold, when it's like freezing and like your tears will freeze on your eyelashes in like no time in like freezing weather. And I think, you know, when his eyeballs, I think it was, to me, it was real.
I think it was more that he had already made peace with the fact that he was going to die, and just because I feel like he at least he didn't try. You know what I mean? It felt like
I feel like he stood there. It was a little. Could he have tried, or could he have lived? Probably not. But the way they had him just stand there, it made it look like he didn't try to get back in. I see what AJ's saying.
The way they did it made it look like he could have. I'm not sure if Ben could have.
It's the way they. I think it's more the way they filmed it.
See, this is why I love Ark. She totally got my reference.
Partly did. Princess Bride, yeah. No, I agree. I don't think he could have gotten back. He was.
I don't think he could either. But I think the way they filmed it, it made it feel like that.
Well,
yeah.
I mean,
that's a good way to put it, Jamie. The way they filmed it, it felt like
we knew he couldn't, but he just kind of stood there and stared. But yeah,
all right.
He was gone.
Regardless, listen, Ben's not the first. Ben's the first one to go. He ain't gonna be. Actually, Ben's the second one to go. He ain't gonna be the last. I have a feeling we're gonna lose a lot more people before this is done.
I mean, maybe it is the last season, so you might expect. I mean, we could always expect people to die. I mean, I thought this was. So looking back on it, the foreshadowing that Ben would die. I mean, Ben got the voiceover. I don't know how many times he's gotten the opening voiceover on Snowpiercer or 800 Cars.
It's only the second or third time. He's gotten it a couple times, you know, in the past. But this is I can only remember like 2 other times that he's gotten it.
Yeah. So he could only do it from the Snowpiercer side. He was going to be stuck on Snowpiercer when he did it. And you know, that moment, like, I have loved so much through the first, I can't believe it's only episode 5. I've loved so much through the first 4 episodes, that relationship that he built with Till as the leaders and the heroes of the real leaders of Snowpiercer now.
Yeah.
And you know, Ben was not always on the side of like rebellion kind of net, right? And now he totally is. And these two have become so great. And like when she realizes that he's sacrificing himself, and Till runs through the train, and she's like, Ben, no. And Ruth,
that was sad.
it had come to Ruth realized it. Ruth's like, we don't have any, what do they call it with the suits? Whatever they call them. She's like, Ruth's like, we don't have any suits. And like Ruth knew. I mean, I just love how Ruth has become like the true leader of she's really the leader of everyone now, right? She's the leader of New Eden, but she shows up on Snowpiercer and everyone's like, all right, Ruth, what do you want? I mean, yes, they were like, the tailies are always like, yeah, Leighton, we're ready to fight. But Ruth is really Ruth is the commander. Ruth is the commander. Leighton is the general.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, Karen. Now, obviously, it worked out in the end because they got a lot of the people back on Big Alice. But not knowing what would have happened, do you think they made the right choice to reconnect the train? Because I don't know that I do.
Nope, I agree.
Okay.
They did not.
I agree. They did not.
First thing I thought was, what's the point of getting Liana back if New Eden can't survive without Big Alice?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't, and she was alive too. I mean, not that he wants to leave her there, but could always maybe try again. You don't want to kill hundreds of people. It's not, well, I mean, I guess for a parent, maybe it's worth it. For a viewer, maybe not. But yeah.
Here's the thing. The parent was Leighton.
There's that.
Look, Leighton has a history of always being like willing to sacrifice other people. Yes, he's very selfish, and he's always willing to sacrifice other people for what he wants or what he thinks is right.
But he has from the beginning.
He has made a lot of questionable and bad decisions. And I think taking Big Alice from New Eden in the first place was a terrible idea.
Mm-hmm.
that they never should have done. They never should have said 400 people, whoever's there, right? Like, we're going to okay, we're going to cross our fingers that Leighton comes back in 3 weeks to save us. Even without what they really ran into, which is the completely bogus international peacekeeping forces. But it's Leighton. Leighton is like, and especially from that moment in the town when he was like, it's my baby, we have to take it, I'm stealing. And then he tried to steal Big Alice. Like, I'm sorry, but so that was bad. So I couldn't really, later in the episode when Alex is like, isn't this the whole reason we took Big Alice, to save Liana? And then Ruth's like, yeah, okay, let's do it. I'm like, what are you people? Yeah, I agree. It was not the right idea. I don't think it was the right thing to do. And I guess would a parent do? I mean,
or saying that you would die, but could you kill others? I don't know. I mean, I'm not a parent, so I can't.
Yeah, really I was gonna say something very similar. Like, I know I would do anything for my kids, but yeah, I don't know that I would send hundreds of people to their death because of it.
Other thing is, and
I would try and find a better way, a different way than putting others at risk.
But it's not even like her life was like in immediate danger either. Like, they know she's alive. Like, they're, live to fight another day. Find another way to get there.
I mean, if you really believed that, it was.
I guess that's true. We're seeing
it was a borderline unconvincing. Like, he hears a baby's voice on the.
Yeah, how can he even know that's her for sure? I mean, I don't know. Maybe you could tell your baby's voice. Can you, AJ? Your kids were little.
I kind of felt the same way. I was like,
I kind of feel like when they're that little, they all sound the same to me, at least, anyway.
Yeah, you're over that crappy radio phone. And Broadwood, so that was Dr. Broadwood, nut job, has her, but you don't see her. There's no real proof, right? But it's enough for hysterical Leighton. I mean, Leighton makes many bad decisions, and one of his bad decisions is ever taking Milius at his word, because Milius. Earlier in the episode, he says, okay, give me Big Alice and I'll let you see your daughter. He never says, I'll give you your daughter and let you go. He says, I'll let you see your daughter. And in the end, that's exactly what happens. He lets her see her because we had this other huge revelation this week.
With Wilford.
Ark is totally right. He's a cockroach.
He turns up, which I guess we kind of
knew he was going to.
Yeah.
However, I was wrong about one thing. I thought he was going to be behind everything. He's not behind everything. He's just helping them and expecting favors in return.
And I love that he's trying to pretend he has a lot more power than he does. And Alex totally sees.
But you know what's funny? I feel like, and I hate to say it, but I feel like in the end, I think Wilford's actually going to end up helping our people.
I think he might be.
I feel like in the end, I feel like he thinks he has Milius wrapped around his finger, which he does not.
Yeah, he definitely.
And I think once he realizes that, he'll going
on board with
to, yeah. Well, I mean, you guys did see that he took the straight razor, right?
Yeah. And how did they not see that there? But yeah.
That's going to come. Well, because they probably didn't realize, it's for shaving. It's they probably weren't thinking about it like that. But that's coming into play.
I was so glad this photo was available and this one also, because it's very telling that so obviously Wilford has been behind all of this. He's behind getting how to get Snowpiercer, how to get Melanie, blah blah. And once everyone's secure there and they've got Big Alice, Milius says to, Wilford's like, oh, okay, you promised me something. And Milius says, yeah, you have 2 hours. 2 hours to be on Snowpiercer. The first thing Wilford does is
Big Alice.
On Big Alice. I'm sorry. He goes on Big Alice. He visits his old rooms. He puts on his old clothes that he still has there on Big Alice. He puts on his raccoon coat.
I'm surprised he didn't go take a bath like he did.
He didn't have 2 hours. He only had 2 hours.
Yeah, he did about the 2 hours.
Maybe he did. We just didn't see it. But like he wants back on that train. That is what he wants. He wants to be the boss of that train again. That's all he really wants. He is a very like kind of sick and twisted man, and he doesn't really care about the future of, you know, he thinks he's using Milius, and he thinks he's playing Milius, which he's wrong,
Which
right?
is definitely not.
It's absolutely wrong.
I mean, because if anybody's equally crazy and evil, it's Milius, right?
Yeah.
I don't think Milius is crazy like Wilford. Wilford's batshit. Milius is just, he's got a goal, and that's all he sees. He doesn't care how he gets to it. I'm a military guy. This is how it's done. This is we're trying to save mankind. This is how we're going to do it. We don't care how many people die along the way, because if we save the planet, we can repopulate. And this is that's point B, and I need to get there, and that's it.
Not if nobody's left. You need a certain amount of people. You can't repopulate with 10 people.
Listen,
you know?
I'm not saying he's right. I'm just saying, what are you talking about? We started the planet with Adam and Eve. There were 2.
Oh yeah. There's another show we watched where people came down from space onto Earth to repopulate, and they went back in time. What show was that? They went back in time to repopulate because they couldn't. That's going to come to me. But he really, he thinks he's playing Milius, but he's really not.
Yeah, no.
Like, he may have met his match.
Wilford thinks he's, smarter than everybody. He's not.
Yeah. I mean, I also love this shot because it shows Nima, like just the way, like with his head down like that, and Wilford, I'm like, oh yeah, this is the way this guy lets himself get bullied in this guy. I don't even know what to say about him in this week's episode. He is lurking and skulking around, and I'm not sure what I expected of him at this point in the episode. I don't know where that guy's going. What do you guys think about him, where he stands this week?
I don't even know what his purpose is anymore. I mean, you've got Wilford and Melanie working on the job. Who else do you need? Honestly.
Yeah, with that, they went.
Yeah. I gotta say, this is really, 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 really annoying. It's like they only have enough payroll for either Wilford or Melanie, but not both in the same episode when she's supposed to be there, but no, she's off site all of a sudden.
It's annoying that we haven't seen more of her, right? There's no.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, but when the show started, you knew who you were getting when you hired her. You know, you knew it was Jennifer Connelly. You decided to make Sean Bean your Wilford. Did you not look to the future and say, I mean, I don't know, maybe they renegotiated contracts or whatever. Like Wilford makes sense to not always be around because he doesn't need to be around all the time. But it just seems like it always comes at the cost of Melanie.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had read 2 questions online that I thought I wanted to pose to you guys. Vulture has a weekly recap of this show, and the commenters.
Mark says, are you talking about Terra Nova? Sorry, I was just going to jump that in there before I forget, since that was something we were talking about before. When you were talking about the time travel.
Where they went back in time to repopulate.
Was that Terra Nova?
That doesn't sound familiar to me.
I saw Terra Nova, but
we definitely watched Terra Nova together.
Time travel,
with the dinosaurs.
Yeah. With the dinosaurs. Yeah. They went. Oh yeah, they went to another Earth that was still had dinosaurs, and that's where they repopulated. Right? They went to another Earth. No, was it Battlestar Galactica where they go and find another Earth?
They don't go back in time in Battlestar Galactica, though. Right.
No.
Anyway.
Okay, you know what? I don't know, but it does say, it says, if you look at the description on Internet Movie Database, it says a family from 2149, when the planet is dying, are transported back 85 million years to a prehistoric Earth where they join Terra Nova, a colony of humans with a second chance to build a civilization. So it may be that. I don't remember. but it might be that.
Yeah.
All right. You read something
all right.
online.
So I
Sorry, I
had
didn't mean to distract
when I
you.
read the Vulture review, I always like to read the comments on some of my favorite recaps. And there is a poster named Say It Right who said, like, so they kidnap Liana in order to compel the passengers to, like, send Big Alice, right? And this person asked, why didn't Wilford suggest they kidnap Alex? Wouldn't the people of Snowpiercer and Big Alice... Wait, let me finish.
Oh, sorry. I answered your question already.
The question is, wouldn't the people of Snowpiercer, wouldn't the community have worked to save Alex just as much as they would have worked to save Liana? But then you wouldn't have, like, loose cannon Andre to deal with. It's just a question. Or do you think that kidnapping Alex is no big deal because then she'd be with her mother and they'd both be happy?
I don't think that it would. It doesn't have the same. It doesn't have the same reaction for a couple reasons.
It's not a big.
One, they might not even realize Alex has been kidnapped because she's running around doing her own thing half the time. That they don't even know where she is a good portion of the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one. Number two, kidnapping Liana makes the most sense because, remember, this is Wilfred's plan. He knows how Leighton is. He knows Leighton is going to move heaven and earth and Big Alice to get to her.
And then he'll do something stupid.
Yeah. Kidnapping Alex does not have the same effect at all.
Yeah. And I feel like it's an innocent baby, so more people might be willing to let him
exactly
do it.
Yeah.
Alex is an adult.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah. Okay, fair enough.
I see what you're saying. I just think that they also needed Leighton and go off the handle because I don't think someone else may not have been able to convince the people to let him take Big Alice.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
That's a good question.
I just thought it was an interesting question to raise. There was another commenter who brought up, okay, related to the point that we've made that, like, why did Milius, like, have to go through all these machinations? Why couldn't you just call Snowpiercer and say, hey, would you guys come in? We think we have a way to save the earth. Would you guys help us?
Because there would be no TV show.
Okay, yes, fair enough. And then the question was raised in the Vulture comments, like, why? So the International Peacekeeping Force has been hiding out in where are they, in Djibouti for 8 years. Why did they wait 8 years to hijack Snowpiercer? Like, Snowpiercer has been driving past, like, circling the globe for 8 years. Like, it takes 4 months for it to go around the entire world, right? It goes around the world 3 times a year. It was not a secret when it was launched. Like, everybody knows about Snowpiercer. Why did they wait 8 years and hijack it? Like, what kind of a
there's a couple of reasons, actually.
Yeah.
Because we wouldn't have a show. No. First and foremost, they're safe where they are. There's no need for them to be on Snowpiercer until they create these warm pockets, until the science advances to a point where it looks like they have a way to save the planet. I mean, this just happened.
Okay, fair.
Yeah,
they just created that pocket or whatever.
Ark says too what I was just going to say. It might have taken, a certain amount of time to create the plan to do all this. It's not as easy as just. Hey, he also didn't have his soldiers who bleed black mist. Well, I'm sure that took time.
The other thing is that the trains weren't, like, together and separated until, like, that point either. Like, before Wilfred had the train and everything. Like, they know now that the train's been separated and is sitting in New Eden. Like, maybe that's why they found out, because they had the places under surveillance or something. It could even
but remember, they got to Snowpiercer first.
Right, but I'm saying, well, I guess that's true. But then again, they wouldn't have known what happened with Wilfred to know that the other part was even there.
I think it has more to do with the fact that they just came up with this technology to try and to rewarm the earth. I think that's
probably accurate.
That's what makes the most sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, there's still the continuing question, like if Nima, the guy who comes up with he's a grad school friend of Melanie's, like the idea of just calling and being like, hey, it's Nima, I'm alive. Can I talk to you? Like, right? Like there was just such a better way to do this that had a better chance.
Oh, I agree with that.
Right?
Yeah, 100%. But then there'd be no conflict.
Yeah, then there'd be no conflict for your final season.
But that could also lead to, I mean, I can give you a type of scenario though. Nima says to Milius, hey, why don't you just let me call Melanie and say, hey, hey, I'm alive. We've got a plan to save the planet. Can you bring Snowpiercer in? We could really use your help. And Milius says, shut up, you sniveling little science geek. We don't know that if she says no, then they're going to know that we're on to them. And we just got to do this by force,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just one possible scenario.
I mean,
but I agree. I feel like a phone call would have been a lot easier.
I mean, whatever is going on here has to do with Milius being like, I mean, he's not just a military man with a mission. He is disregarding of human lives, including his own people. Like his own people. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, and Nima. He's like, oh, sorry, soldier guys, that like those experiments weren't supposed to affect you that way. What? Like,
I want to know where the thing is. There's still another shoe to drop because Milius is not in charge. He's got somebody he answers to too. I believe. At least I get that impression.
Unless he's faking it, but yeah,
I was just gonna say, unless he's pulling the Melanie trick where you're pretending Wilfred's on the train and he's really not, or Milius is pretending he has a commanding officer and really doesn't, and he really is behind the whole thing.
Well, is it possible? Let me throw something out there.
Sure.
Is it possible that it could be whatever his name is, Neiman, and he's just like a really good actor, and that the whole thing is fake? He's really the leader? Because I've seen that on certain movies, where like the second command or whatever.
Milius answers to a voice over an intercom and doesn't know who it is, type of thing, and then Milius is right in front of his face, but he doesn't know it's him. I don't know.
No, not that. I just meant that like maybe he's pretending to be like just a scientist who knows nothing, and he's really like bad and controlling everybody, and like he's just pretending so they don't know who's doing it. Not that they wouldn't know, meaning that our people wouldn't know. Not that Milius didn't know.
No, because we've seen Milius
with him without our people
talk down to him when none of our people are around.
That's true.
I mean, in theory, any international like peacekeeping force, it's interesting, they're not calling it like the UN. It's just this random international peacekeeping forces. Like in theory, like in our world, like they should report to some sort of civilian governing board, right? Much like any like UN peacekeeping force reports to or like in the United States, our military reports to a civilian government, or in what's that Apple show about the invasion? What's it called?
Invasion.
Where there's like this international like League of Nations type deal. I forget what they call themselves, the Global Council or something they call themselves, right? Yeah. Like, so in theory, shouldn't Milius have some sort of governing boss in there? Because he's just, I mean, obviously he's not the person who invented Nima's the guy who like came up with the solution, or Nima and other scientists or whoever, and he's supposed to like enable them to, he's supposed to be enabling Nima to execute his vision, but instead he's like really driving and pushing
aggressive about it
to do it, right? Like this guy has a lot, and he's very like I mean, I feel like he's not like they've already said like 40 passengers have died in these upgrades to the train, which is kind of ridiculous, right? And he's like starving them and cutting their rations, and he's like almost was going to freeze 100 people in a boxcar just to prove a point. And I felt like he really kind of enjoyed like tormenting Leighton. Like I feel like he's getting like I just want to punch Clark Gregg in the face every time he's on the screen,
Yes.
right? With this,
I'm glad about one thing about this episode, that our people finally got a win, because this is 5 episodes in, and until they get away with Big Alice, we have not had a win in any episode. Like, we have lost every episode, and it's I said, I've been saying I'm like angry every week. I said I can't wait till the show ends, because I don't want to be angry anymore.
yeah. I mean, not wrong there. It has been like just like our people getting pounded and pounded every week.
Yeah.
It was kind of exciting, the escape that they made, right?
Yeah.
And people trying to get out and whatever. That was all exciting and cool. What do you think about Alex deciding to stay?
Not surprised.
I'm not surprised, but I think she needs to stop thinking that she can play Wilford. He has a soft spot for her, but she can't. She's never been able to pull one over on him and have it stick. So I think that was a mistake on her part, simply because New Eden could really use somebody with her brains.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think what is this a picture of here? Oh, that's not. I thought I had a picture of those two together.
I mean, with Ben dying and not going back to New Eden, I mean, that pretty much leaves Javi on his own.
Yeah. I mean, I think she is able to get information out of him, but like, she really stayed because her mother's there, right?
Well, she's not there right now.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, she should be right back. Or
She went to the store for milk.
Okay, here's the thing. Did she stay to see what she can get of Wilford? Did she stay to see Melanie? Did she stay to see what she can get out of Nima? Because
she didn't say why she was staying. All she said was, "I'm staying."
It was it in the episode or in the? Doesn't he say to her, "Are you getting nosebleeds?"
Yes, he said that. Yeah,
and she's like, "Yeah, I am getting nosebleeds," and he's like,
"Yeah, you know what? I hadn't thought about that, so that actually could be a reason she stayed too." Yeah,
to figure out what he knows about.
Wasn't that after she'd already decided to stay, though? That was when she saw him after she was.
You're right.
I don't remember.
I think it was towards the end when she was with Wilford that happened.
So there's one very important thing about this episode that has not been discussed.
Yes.
The numbers are everywhere.
Are they?
The tunnel to the surface is level 42.
Oh, it is. Right.
42.
I noticed it
immediately
as soon as the episode started and they went down the hallway and got on the elevator. I was like, the numbers are everywhere.
No, I noticed that. But that was all I noticed. I didn't look beyond that.
I'd like to know more about what's going on in this tower. And did you see when Andre got in the elevator I don't think I have a picture of him. I had a picture of him walking around with those guards. They get in the elevator and he says to her, do you see some of the elevator buttons are blocked off so you can't go to those floors? Yeah. And he says, what happened to those floors? And she doesn't answer. Like, there's a part of that building that no one is supposed to go to, which I guess, whatever, it's restricted military, whatever, blah, blah, right?
Well, it could also be those areas could be contaminated. Contaminated isn't the right word, but maybe it got cold in those rooms.
Yeah.
Or it has something to do with the black stuff. Ark's saying she thinks that Alex stayed to get more information. Might be. Let me ask you guys one question I wondered. Yeah. Did you get the opinion when Wilfred was with Alex and he had the thing to open the doors? Did you get the opinion that he was looking over his shoulder to see that nobody noticed he was using it? Like if he maybe stole it from somebody.
That he has a key card?
Yeah.
No, because he has his own room like that.
Yeah, he has his own room, but we don't know that they don't control where he goes and doesn't go.
I would be surprised if he had free run of the place, Jamie. So yeah, I just don't imagine.
I just wondered if maybe that's how we will find out why there's a hand, because he took the wristband or something.
Oh,
there
that
could be people in there that were in Snowpiercer that are also on this place too. I don't know. That was just my thoughts.
yeah, but remember the hand. But they said the hand is one of theirs. Like
yeah, but there's people on there that were also on Snowpiercer too, right? Or is that just the new?
It's just Melanie and a few. It's just Melanie.
Maybe.
One thing Wilford has always been very good at is like talking and manipulating people into doing, like, you know how all, like, remember when he talked Kevin into basically killing himself in the bathtub on Snowpiercer? I mean,
not basically, he did.
He did, right?
Yeah,
and he basically like had like mind control over Audrey for years. And we have seen him like talk his guards into letting him have cigars, and then they were poison cigars. And like he has many times like talked people into being on his side. So sure, he might have talked his way into getting one of these passes. I don't think Milius would let him have the run of the place. And even if Milius might be dumb enough to trust him, I'm sure that Melanie would be like, oh my God, whatever you do not give Mr. Wilford run of the joint, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it looked,
especially since Melanie can hold a grudge.
That too, yeah.
I mean,
do you think that now they're supposed? Do you think they're really supposed to be working together? Like he's working with Melanie at this point, or do you think?
Yes, I absolutely believe that. I believe they're both working the project. They're working the project, but like he said, they're not working together in the same room because she'll probably kill him.
Yeah, but do you think she even knows he's there?
Yeah, I think she does. Okay. She doesn't have much of a choice about it.
Okay. So I think that could go either way. That's why I just was curious what you thought.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think she has a choice either if she wants to work.
Well, no, I definitely don't think she has a choice. I'm just curious if she knows about it, because I think it could be possible she doesn't.
That she doesn't know he's there?
Right.
I think she knows he's there. I don't see how Wilford could be present. I mean, first of all, are we supposed to believe that they found Wilford first before they took Snowpiercer, and Wilford told them how to get Snowpiercer? So Wilford was like, I don't want to say Wilford was on their side, but Wilford was their entree. And like, also, I don't think there's any way that Wilford like doesn't want to immediately start like boasting and showing off to Melanie. Like Wilford,
I'm sure he does.
Like, there's no way that you could keep Wilford in there and he doesn't
quiet.
Well, that he doesn't bargain to see, unless you keep him in a cell. There's no way he doesn't engineer a way that he meets Melanie. Or
absolutely. I think Melanie walked around the corner and he was standing there, and she was like, "Oh shit, let me back on the train."
Well,
I guarantee the first thing that happened when Melanie got on that base, Wilford walked in whatever room she was in and was like, "Hi," because he had to let her know that he was there. His hubris is too large for it not to have happened that way.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. So, all right.
Oh my God, I can't wait to see what happens next. I mean, I know what happens next, but this was.
I was thinking, yeah, says the one that's already seen it.
I mean, this was another episode that was just tension.
Yeah,
right? Like
they've all.
I might have booted AJ out of the stage by mistake. Sorry. I
wonder why he got muted all.
I didn't even notice you did that until you said something.
I moved my laptop and I hit the mouse pad. I'm sorry. But the tension ratchets up like every week, and I hate. I mean, I think I'm like Mr. Wilford. We hate him, right? I like he's horrible, but I might hate Milius worse. I think.
Oh, I do too.
Right?
I know it's hard. It's you know what though? It's a different kind of hate.
Yeah.
Because Wilford is so smarmy.
Yeah.
And Milius is just Milius has no regard for anybody or anything other than the mission.
Well, and Wilford is actually kind of a really compelling character, and I feel like Wilford
got layers.
Yes, whereas Milius is kind of a really blunt instrument, right?
Yes.
And Wilford, like Milius thinks he's slick, but Wilford actually is slick.
Yes.
Yeah. That's fair.
Right? Yeah.
And Ark saying, whoops, I knocked it off. Ark saying it's good tension. It is good tension, but there's a lot.
Oh yeah,
it is. But at the end of it, every episode, at the end of it,
I mean, bringing Wilford in at the halfway point makes it really interesting because now you actually have three sides. Because you got our people,
Wilford's side,
you got Milius, and now you got Wilford, who's just Wilford's he's a team of one, but can manipulate either side.
Yeah.
So it makes it's going to make it very interesting. Yeah. I mean, I could totally see now that with Leighton being in the compound, I could totally see Wilford actually going to Leighton and trying to get Leighton to team up with him on something, and Leighton actually falling for it for a minute because they have a common goal. I could totally see Leighton saying, "Okay, I'm going to work with you on this right now, but as soon as this is over, I'm going to kill you." And Wilford's like, "Okay, yeah, whatever. Let's worry about this first."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, ultimately, they can't really team up because it was obviously Wilford who said kidnap his baby and he'll do anything he can to bring that train in here, right?
But all that has to happen is Milius puts Wilford on lockdown for some reason.
It wasn't him.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's exactly how it's going to go down, but it's the type of thing that could go down.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
So, anyway. All right. That's it.
All right. Well, for anyone, I was just going to say, for anyone that did miss our announcement, we're sorry that it's going to end too.
It's bittersweet.
Yeah, it is.
I'm just grateful that we even got to this season.
Yeah, we're lucky we did.
I'm going to, yeah. So.
All right. What? Just going to say, just for anybody who did miss it, that we're going to be interviewing ARC stars Reese Ritchie and Richard Fleischman. And so you can send your questions either, like I said, if you want to comment on the podcast, that's fine, as long as it's through the Sci-Fi Vision channel, because otherwise we're not logged into that channel and we won't see it necessarily. So it's easier if you probably just use Twitter, but I will check them before we do the interview. But it's not going to be live, unfortunately. We couldn't get live. But we will take your questions, so please send them to us. Let us know what you want to know. We'll ask. We'll try to get everybody's in there.
And it's not till next week, so there's time to watch tomorrow's episode and then think up questions. Yeah.
And then we will air the whole interview during next week's podcast. So
great.
All righty. Well, thank you guys. Thanks everybody who's listening. And also
thank you everybody. Ark and Soul and the other person who jumped in that I forgot about. Whose name?
Patty Figueroa. Hi.
Patty. Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you everybody.
Thank you. And we will
next week will be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Got Echoes ending.
It'll probably be a longer show. There is a possibility we're gonna kind of, I think, play it by ear and see how long, I guess it is, that we could start the show like a half an hour earlier in order to put the interview on. But if we do, we'll announce it on Twitter. So it'll probably just be our show will run longer, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, it probably is not going to be a super crazy long interview, and it will cover the show.
We have a finale too.
Right.
So we'll see.
Yeah. All right.
Good night, everyone.
All right. Good night, everybody. Bye.
Bye. Bye.